Le Mans Ultimate is finally out, and today in this video we're gonna have a look into all the enhancements, all the little features, all the little gimmicks that this game has ready for us. This video is obviously done out of the perspective of an rFactor 2 user. The rFactor 2 physics engine obviously being the basement for the game, so it kind of makes sense to compare these games a little bit, or to at least determine the new features on Le Mans Ultimate compared to rFactor 2, what we've already seen there, what we've already known there, what is new in Le Mans Ultimate compared to rFactor 2, and so on. If you guys are interested and if you guys want to know more about a couple of features that we're going to mention, put it down in the comments area below. Let me know. We're going to have a discussion, we're going to have analysis on that. And I can already assure you for some of the details, some of the features, I already got extended videos, work in progress, are already out. So the hybrid system, which I think is, you can say so much about the hybrid system. So I've done a dedicated video on that. If there is a dedicated video on some features that we're going to explain here, you're going to find it in the top right corner. Right, left, right, I don't know. Either way, guys, let's get going into the video straight. But of course, before we do so, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let me know in the comments area below what you think about Le Mans Ultimate. Certainly one of the most significant updates is the hybrid system for Le Mans Ultimate. As in rFactor 2, the hybrid is solidly performance-based, means it increases the power deploy of the powertrain and increases the car performance. However, here in Le Mans Ultimate, and I think it is also the first across the sim racing industry, this hybrid system is 100% efficiency oriented. That means the electric motor kicks in to take off the load from the internal combustion engine, leading to better fuel efficiency and leading to less fuel required in total to make a total stint. As in the World Endurance Championship, virtual energy is now also a strategic element of multi-class racing in the hypercar category. If you guys want to have a deeper insight into how the hybrid system works, what are the pros and cons about it, and especially what are the tricky situations on it, then feel free to have a look into the top right corner. There I have linked a very detailed video about how the hybrid system works. Le Mans Ultimate comes with a new heads-up display. Compared to rFactor 2, we find a couple of new features that we're going to highlight here real quick. In the top left corner, you'll find yourself in the overall standings. If you're leading, you see the 4 cars behind you. If you're last, you see the first 4 cars ahead of you. And if you're in between the pack, you will see the 2 cars ahead of you and the 2 cars behind of you with a current gap. Additionally, a long-awaited feature has finally been brought into Le Mans Ultimate with a relative that you can find in the first page of the heads-up display in the bottom left. Sadly, whilst the top left heads-up display is not adjustable, you can scroll through a couple of pages on the heads-up display in the bottom left. However, it is that relative that will now show us whether hypercars, LMP cars or GTE cars are around us and with what kind of gaps measured in seconds. So the new HUD does not only contain a new relative but also much more information. You need to have mapped the MFD buttons according to your settings menu, then you can scroll to the right. Maybe just once instead of twice. And then you'll find session information such as day of time, temperature in the air, temperature on the track, your cuts or your cut points that you've already used up, and penalties if you have some. Next up is the timing sheet. There you find the target sector times, the best sector times, and your current sector times. That is from you or your opponents, whether you are ahead of the target or whether you are behind the target. Additionally, on the top right corner, you'll always find your best lap time and your current lap time, as well as a sector indicator, as in whether you are putting personal bests absolute bests, in that case it is purple, or just regular sector times, in that case it's yellow. As we get overtaken by the Porsche, we are looking into the Tyre tab. The Tyre tab shows a lot more information than rFactor 2 has ever given to us in a single screen. Not only we see the tire's current state, as in how much rubber is left on the tire, we also see its core temperature. So not the surface temperature. The surface temperature we see on the right, where the ref meter is. But we see the core temperature, brake temperature and the tire pressures as well, all in one spot. Next up on the MFD is the fuel page. Here you find all information about your hybrid system and your internal combustion engine, such as fuel remaining, fuel usage, virtual energy usage, and predictions, as in how long all these energy values will keep you going. Also, you find indication about your battery level and what kind of deploy map you're currently working in. An absolute new feature is the electronics tab. On the electronics tab you can alter everything in the car. You can move the traction control buttons or the traction control settings either with buttons on the rims or with your MFD button by altering the menu. So going down, increasing the power cut to 6, and it will directly jump over to the 6 and also give you an additional message on the right hand side. Furthermore, you'll be able to adjust ARBs mid-drive, you're able to adjust the brake bias mid-drive, the brake migration, the motor map, the region level and the lap target, something that we're going to have a look at in a couple of moments. Last but not least, you can set yourself up for a pit stop. Sadly, we do not have a damage model anymore, but we can see whether we do have damage, as the pit menu would say not available, or repair body, or repair all, according to the severity of the damage. Last but not least, in the top right corner you will find the timing app, which shows your best personal lap and your current lap time going around the track. However, as soon as you off-track the lap and invalidate your lap time, the current lap time disappears, so that will always be your indication whether you're on a valid lap or on an invalid lap. Additionally, below you'll see the sector splits, and they turn yellow if you're just doing a simple lap time, they turn green if you're doing a personal best lap time or personal best sector time in sector 1, 2 or 3. And of course, if you put the absolute best within your category, they will turn purple. Below that you will find a delta timer that compares your current lap time against your best lap time achieved so far. When we now turn our attention to the bottom right, this is where you find key elements of your driving, key elements of your car performing in the HUD. So as you can see, gear selector, speeds, headlights, the pit speed limiter is the thing below the headlights, and there is also an engine lamp that turns on if your engine has an issue or if your engine runs way too hot. Additionally, you'll see fuel loads, and this is the hypercar version of the HUD obviously, so here you'll see fuel load and virtual energy remaining. Please note that the number that says 31.7 laps until empty is pointing to your internal combustion engine fuel and not to the virtual energy. The virtual energy remaining for the remaining amount of laps you will find in the HUD on the left bottom side. Left to the ref meter that goes around the circle there on the outside, you will find 4 or 8 colored bars, with the bigger ones being the tire surface temperature, so you can directly see in a corner when you are overheating a tire, and the smaller bits on the inside is the brake indicators. You want to have them all green at all times. That means the tires are running in a good performance window, in a good temperature window, but remember, this is surface only. The Hypercars come with a new tire model that do need tire temperature to work. As you can see, we are in an environment with 5 degrees air, 9 degrees track temperature. So we're going out of pit road to hit the track. And as you look down onto the pressures, 116 kph, they are dynamic according to the environment you'll find for, but now check how little grip you have when you come out of pit road. Car is really extremely slippery to drive and requires a lot of attention. A couple of laps later, the tires have got some temperature above 70 degrees and finally produce some performance. While they are certainly more performant than on the actual outlap, it takes them up to several laps to reach peak performance in those conditions. There is a new feature for fuel saving on Le Mans Ultimate. If you go into the electronics area and go all the way down to lap target, you can increase your lap target up until 5. That means if you select, for example, 4, you now want to extend the stint by 4 laps compared to a full push strat. What will happen is there are LED strips in the car that will indicate you when you need to start lifting off the throttle for lift and coast. They illuminate purple, and once they do that, you should get off the throttle and start the lift and coasting process for the turn. That way the game will help you guiding to save the fuel. This help shall give you an indication as into one lift off the throttle in order to save both, not only the fuel but most importantly the virtual energy that is the key when it comes to endurance racing. New in Le Mans Ultimate is when you are coming into the pits and you find yourself just that little bit of space to get in parking. You just have to park the car anyway. As soon as you come to a halt, the pit crew is picking you up and moving the car into a straight line to get you going again. However, if you find your way out being blocked as well, above 3 seconds before you get released, the pit crew is picking you up, turning you left and letting you go into the clean air. Another feature is a pit stop feature, as we now have a limited amount of tire sets available for each weekend. As of right now, you can see that we have still some 34 new tires left for strategy reasons. So let's come for a pit stop and take a fresh set of softs. Reminder, currently we're sitting on these mediums, 95%, 96% of rubber is left on them. So, back onto the track, we are now on the fresh soft tires, as you can see in the tire menu. Additionally, we will find used mediums here in the pit menu that enable us to retake old tires. Another feature, especially needed for endurance racing, we are now able to select whether we need new brakes or rather not. So then that marks the most important changes, the most important added features compared to an rFactor 2 simulation, which has been superior in a way for many years in that regard. There is many more stuff that has been implemented into the game which is not visible at first sight, such as the AI is finally able to plan and follow own strategy. So you will see them lift and coast according to their strategy plan in an endurance race as well. Something that we haven't had on rFactor 2. Beyond that, there were several fixes to graphics enhancements, new materials. Real roads have been fixed and real roads have been enhanced and further developed. And we have a lot of different bits and pieces that are not visibly directly but deeply wired down in the code of the game that can be considered new features. Something that we're missing at the point of this early access is yet VR support, the shifted co-op game mode where you can race together with a friend and do driver swaps and do the same race but time shifted and working with save games. We're going to do a tutorial on that as soon as it's out. We're desperately still waiting, I think, for a roadmap of what more is to come, but that is it. That is the most important bits and pieces that I found relevant for the new game. Guys, let me know your comments down in the comments area below. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of all these new features, and what do you expect Le Mans Ultimate to be for you in the future? Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this guide, give the video a like, share it to your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the bell for more content, for more guides about Le Mans Ultimate.